The emergency lights flashed red across the Galactic Council chamber. Councillor Thrain stood at the center platform, his feathers ruffled in agitation. Around him, representatives from 47 species watched the battle footage with varying degrees of concern. "This is unacceptable," Thrain announced, his beak clicking sharply. "A new species attacks our established members without provocation." On the main display, human ships moved through space with precise coordination. They had just fought off a Vraxian scouting party near their home system. The Vraxian ships, known throughout the galaxy for their aggressive tactics, had retreated in disarray. Ambassador Park Ji-woo sat quietly in the human delegation area. He was a middle-aged man, with calm eyes and an unremarkable appearance. Everything about him seemed designed to avoid attention. He wore a simple gray suit, while other ambassadors displayed elaborate robes and exotic technologies. Admiral Kesh, the Vraxian commander who had led the failed scouting mission, slammed his clawed hand on his console. "They ambushed us. We were merely investigating their system, as is our right under Council exploration protocols." Park Ji-woo raised his hand slowly. Thrain noticed and nodded reluctantly. "If I may speak," Park Ji-woo said in perfect galactic standard, his voice soft and measured. "Admiral Kesh's ships entered our home system without permission. They ignored our hails. They locked weapons on our defensive stations. We defended ourselves. Nothing more." "Defensive stations?" Kesh laughed, a harsh barking sound. "You had a full military fleet. 20 capital ships with advanced weapons systems." "Yes," Park Ji-woo agreed simply. "Our home defense fleet. Surely the Admiral does not expect us to leave Earth unprotected?" Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species maintained home defense fleets. It was standard practice. But the humans had only made first contact 6 months ago. Where had they found the resources and technology to build such ships so quickly? Councillor Thrain studied the human ambassador carefully. "Ambassador Park, how long has your species possessed faster-than-light travel?" Park Ji-woo smiled slightly. "We have been traveling within our own system for some time. We only recently developed reliable FTL drives. Perhaps 5 years ago?" 1. This was technically true. What Park Ji-woo did not mention was that humanity had been observing galactic communications for 40 years before that. They had studied every species, every conflict, every political maneuver. They had learned which species could be trusted and which could not. They had seen how the strong dominated the weak in galactic politics, and they had prepared accordingly. 5 years, repeated Ambassador Gillith. A crystalline being, who represented the hegemony. And in 5 years, you built a fleet capable of defeating Vraxian warships? We are quick learners, Park Ji-woo replied modestly. Admiral Kesh stood, his scales flushing dark red with anger. This is an insult. My ships were defeated by these primitives. And the Council sits here discussing politics. I demand action. I demand the Council authorize a proper military response to teach these humans their place in the galactic order. Thrain's feathers smoothed slightly. He found himself agreeing with the Vraxian, though he disliked the species' crude methods. The humans had indeed been fortunate. Perhaps they had stumbled onto some abandoned technology. Perhaps their single fleet had simply caught the Vraxians by surprise. Either way, they needed to understand that the galaxy had rules. The Council will vote, Thrain announced. The motion is to authorize a Vraxian battle group to conduct disciplinary operations against the human home system. The objective will be to demonstrate Council authority and secure human compliance with established protocols. Park Ji-woo listened as the votes were cast. 31 in favor, 12 against, 4 abstentions. The measure passed easily. Most Council members saw this as a minor issue. A new species needed to be reminded that the galaxy was not theirs to do as they pleased. The motion carries, Thrain declared. Admiral Kesh, you are authorized to assemble a battle group of no more than 300 vessels. You will proceed to the human home system and secure their surrender. Minimal casualties are preferred. The humans will be brought into the council structure properly, with appropriate supervision, until they demonstrate they can be trusted. Kesh's expression showed savage satisfaction. It will be done within one standard cycle, Counselor. Park Ji-woo stood slowly. I must protest this action. My government will view this as an act of war. Then your government should surrender quickly, Thrain replied coldly. You are dismissed, Ambassador. I suggest you use the time to convince your leaders that resistance will only bring unnecessary suffering. Park Ji-woo bowed slightly and left the chamber. His face remained calm. But inside, he felt a mixture of satisfaction and regret. Satisfaction that the plan was working exactly as Earth's military strategists had predicted. Regret that so many would die because of galactic arrogance. He walked through the station's corridors, passing various alien species who now looked at him with mixture of pity and contempt. The poor humans, they thought, about to learn a harsh lesson about galactic realities. Park Ji-woo reached the human embassy section and entered his private office. He activated the quantum communication link, waited for the encryption protocols to engage, and spoke clearly. This is Ambassador Park. The Council has authorized Vraxian military action. 300 ships, estimated arrival in Sol system within 20 days. Recommend we proceed to Phase 2 of Operation Revelation. The reply came back immediately. The voice of Admiral Choi Min-ji, commander of Earth's Second Fleet. Understood, Ambassador. We'll be ready. Has the Council taken any additional precautions? No, Park Ji-woo replied. They believe our home defense fleet represents our total military capability. Intelligence estimates suggest they think we have perhaps 30 ships total. Admiral Choi laughed, a sound without humor. 30 ships. They're going to be very surprised. Admiral, remember the protocols. We want to shock them, not start a galactic war. I remember, Ambassador. Proportional response. Demonstrate capability without unnecessary destruction. Make them afraid, then make them think. Park Ji-woo nodded, though the Admiral could not see him. Good luck, Admiral. The diplomats will do our part. The rest is up to you. We won't let humanity down, Admiral Choi promised. Second Fleet is moving into position now. Let them come. Let them see what happens when they mistake patience for weakness. The communication ended. Park Ji-woo sat alone in his office, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 300 Vraxian warships were being assembled. Their commanders confident, their crews eager, all of them believing they were about to crush a primitive species, none of them knowing the truth. Earth had not built one fleet in 5 years. They had built 11. And the Vraxians were about to meet the second one. The Vraxian battle group entered the Sol system with overwhelming confidence. 300 warships materialized from faster-than-light travel in a perfect formation. Admiral Kesh stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Worldbreaker, and smiled with satisfaction. Scan the system, he ordered. Locate their pathetic fleet. The sensor officer worked quickly. Admiral, detecting multiple human installations on the third and fourth planets. Also detecting civilian traffic throughout the system. No military vessels within immediate range. Kesh's smile widened. They're hiding. Or perhaps they fled already. General Korvan, prepare your boarding parties. It seems we may take their homeworld without firing a shot. General Korvan, commander of the Vraxian ground forces, checked his combat armor seals. My troops are ready, Admiral. We'll have their government leaders in custody within hours of landing. On the fourth planet of the Sol system, in a command center hidden beneath the Martian surface, Admiral Choi Min-ji watched the Vraxian fleet with calm assessment. She was a veteran of humanity's corporate wars, the brutal conflicts that had ravaged Earth 30 years ago, before the nations united. She had learned her trade in desperate battles, where losing meant extinction. Status of Second Fleet? She asked. Captain Lee Sung-ho, her tactical officer, checked his displays. All ships are in position behind Jupiter's radiation shadow. The Vraxians can't detect us through the interference. We're ready to move on your command. Admiral Choi nodded. And the civilian evacuations? Complete as of 2 hours ago. All non-essential personnel have been moved to the outer system shelters. The colonies on Mars and Europa are locked down. If this goes wrong, civilian casualties should be minimal. It won't go wrong, Admiral Choi said quietly. Remember, we've been preparing for this moment for years. They're walking into a situation they don't understand. The Vraxian fleet moved deeper into the system, their ships spreading out to cover more area. Admiral Kesh was impatient now. Send a message to the human homeworld. Tell them they have 2 hours to surrender their government and military forces, or we will begin bombardment. Once the message was transmitted. On Earth, in the Unified Government Center in Geneva, President Nam Da-un read the demand and nodded to her communications officer. The reply reached Admiral Kesh within minutes. It was not a surrender. It was a simple statement. You have entered our home system without permission. You have threatened our world. Leave now, and we will allow you to survive this mistake. Kesh roared with laughter. Their arrogance is remarkable. Communications. Broadcast to all ships. Begin moving toward the third planet. Weapons free. Target only military installations initially, but prepare for full planetary bombardment if they continue to resist. The Vraxian fleet accelerated. Their massive ships cutting through space toward Earth. They were confident. They were powerful. They had done this to dozens of species before. Now, Admiral Choi said simply, Captain Lee transmitted the command. Throughout the Jupiter system, hundreds of human warships activated their systems simultaneously. They had been waiting in complete silence, using the massive planet's radiation as a shield. Now, they emerged like predators, springing a trap. The Vraxian sensors screamed warnings. Admiral, the Vraxian sensor officer shouted. Multiple contacts. Hundreds of ships emerging from behind the fifth planet. Admiral Kesh stared at the displays in disbelief. The human fleet appearing before him was not the 20 ships from the first encounter. It was over 400 vessels, twice the size of his entire battle group. That's impossible, he whispered. Where did they come from? Admiral Choi's face appeared on every Vraxian ship's communication screen. I am Admiral Choi Minji of Earth's Second Fleet. You were warned. Now you will learn why that warning was given. The human ships moved with precision that shocked the Vraxian commanders. They had fought many species, but none that coordinated like this. The human fleet split into multiple groups, each targeting specific Vraxian formations. All ships, defensive formation. Kesh ordered. Return. Fire. The battle began. Vraxian ships were designed for overwhelming frontal assaults. They had thick armor and powerful weapons. But the human ships moved differently. They used speed and maneuverability, striking from unexpected angles. Captain Lee Sung-ho commanded a group of 20 frigates. His ships danced around the Vraxian heavy cruisers, launching missiles from multiple directions. The Vraxian point defense systems couldn't track so many fast-moving targets simultaneously. Focus fire on target designated Baker 7, Lee ordered. Coordination pattern, Delta. His frigates attacked in sequence, each one firing precisely as the previous ship's missiles impacted. The concentrated fire overwhelmed the cruiser's shields, and secondary explosions tore through its hull. Throughout the battle space, similar scenes played out. The humans fought with tactical sophistication that suggested decades of military development. Not 5 years. They used electronic warfare to jam Vraxian communications. They deployed mines in the paths of Vraxian formations. They even used the gravity of Mars to slingshot attack groups at unexpected velocities. General Korvan watched from the troop transport as the battle turned into a massacre. Admiral, we need to withdraw. We've lost over 100 ships already. Kesh was frozen, unable to process what was happening. His proud battle group, which had conquered systems throughout the sector, was being systematically destroyed by a species the Council had dismissed as primitive newcomers. Admiral, his tactical officer screamed. Human battleships are targeting our flagship directly. Multiple missile locks. The warning broke through Kesh's shock. All remaining ships. Retreat. Emergency FTL jump. The surviving Vraxian ships scattered, desperately trying to escape the human kill zones. Of the 300 vessels that had entered the Sol system with such confidence, only 97 managed to jump away. The rest were either destroyed or crippled beyond repair. Admiral Choi watched them flee and did not pursue. Stand down weapons. Begin rescue operations for any survivors in the Vraxian ships we disabled. Medical teams. Prepare to receive wounded. Captain Lee looked at her with surprise. Admiral, we could destroy them all. Why let them escape? Because we need them to carry our message, Admiral Choi replied. We need the galaxy to know what happened here. We need them to understand that Earth is not helpless. But we also need them to see that we take no pleasure in killing. We fight. When necessary. We win decisively. And then, we show mercy. That's what separates us from species like the Vraxians. The battle was over within 6 hours. Human casualties were minimal. Mostly minor injuries from systems overloads during combat maneuvers. Vraxian casualties, numbered in the thousands. On the Galactic Council station, emergency alarms woke Counselor Thrain from his sleep. He rushed to the command center and demanded a report. Sir, the communications officer said, her voice shaking. We're receiving transmissions from the Vraxian fleet. They were defeated. Admiral Kesh is requesting emergency assistance. Thrain felt cold fear spread through his chest. Defeated? By the humans? That's impossible. They only had one small fleet. Apparently not, sir. The surviving Vraxian ships are reporting that the humans deployed over 400 vessels. They're calling it Earth's Second Fleet. Second Fleet, Thrain repeated, his mind racing. That means there's more than one. How many more? Nobody could answer his question. Ambassador Park Ji-woo received the news in his quarters. He sent a brief message to Earth. They know about the Second Fleet now. They'll begin reassessing everything. Proceed carefully with the next phase. In the Sol system, Admiral Choi looked out at the stars and allowed herself a small smile. One down, she murmured. Let's see how they react to finding out we're just getting started. The emergency session of the Galactic Council lasted 14 hours. Representatives from the major powers argued, threatened, and finally agreed. Humanity had become a threat that required immediate action. Counselor Thrain stood before the assembly, his earlier arrogance replaced by grim determination. The humans have deceived us. They possess military capabilities far beyond what they revealed. If we allow this to continue, they will upset the balance of power that has maintained galactic peace for centuries. Ambassador Gilith's crystalline body pulsed with agreement. My government supports immediate military action. The hegemony will contribute 400 warships to a coalition force. One by one, the major powers pledged their fleets. The Vraxians, humiliated and angry, offered what remained of their military. The Kronar Dominion sent their carrier groups. The Phalanx Confederacy deployed their siege platforms. Within days, over 2,000 warships gathered at the designated staging area. It was the largest military force assembled in 500 years. Fleet Master Zex, an insectoid commander chosen to lead the coalition, studied the tactical displays with his compound eyes. He had fought in 30 campaigns across 2 decades. He was methodical, careful, and respected by all species in the coalition. Intelligence estimates suggest the humans have 2 fleets. Zex clicked in his species' precise manner. We have seen one of approximately 20 ships, and one of approximately 400 ships. We must assume they have perhaps 500 vessels total. We are bringing 2,000. A 4-to-1 advantage should be sufficient. His tactical officers agreed. 4-to-1 odds were comfortable, even against an enemy that had proven surprisingly capable. On Earth, in the underground command center, President Nam Da-un met with her military advisors. Ambassador Yoon So-jun had returned from the council to brief them personally. They're assembling a coalition fleet, Yoon reported. Every major power except the Helix Collective is participating. Our intelligence suggests over 2,000 ships. Let them come, said Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-yang, Supreme Commander of Earth's combined military forces. He was an old man now, but his eyes were sharp. We knew this would happen. It's why we built what we built. President Nam looked troubled. Admiral, I understand the strategy. But 2,000 ships? Even with our advantages, the casualties will be enormous. Only if we fight them as they expect, Kang replied. We won't. Dr. Kim, what does your analysis suggest about their psychology? Dr. Kim Hana, Earth's leading xenopsychologist, activated her presentation. The coalition species have never faced an opponent that could match their combined strength. They're overconfident. They'll expect us to defend our home system. Instead, we should engage them at multiple points, fragment their formation, and demonstrate that we can project power anywhere we choose. Exactly, Kang agreed. We'll give them what they don't expect. Not 2 fleets, but 5. Not defensive positions, but offensive operations. We'll teach them that quantity means nothing against quality and strategy. 3 days later, the coalition fleet entered human space at 3 strategic points simultaneously. Fleet Master Zex had planned the operation carefully. Each group would advance toward Earth from a different direction, forcing the humans to split their forces. The northern group, commanded by Zex himself, consisted of 800 ships. They jumped into a system 3 light-years from Earth and immediately began scanning for human forces. Contact, the sensor officer reported. Human fleet detected. Approximately 140 vessels, moving to intercept. Zex felt satisfaction. They're splitting their forces as predicted. We outnumber them 6-1. All ships, combat formation. Prepare to crush them quickly, so we can proceed to the human homeworld. But as the battle began, Zex realized something was wrong. The human ships fought with the same tactical sophistication that had defeated the Vraxians. But their weapons were different. More powerful, they deployed technologies the Coalition had never seen before. They're using adaptive AI systems, his tactical officer reported. Their point defense is learning and countering our attack patterns in real time. Human ships moved through the Coalition formation like knives through cloth. They concentrated fire with devastating precision, crippled ships rather than destroying them completely, and withdrew before the Coalition could bring their numerical advantage to bear effectively. At the eastern approach, the Coalition encountered Earth's 4th Fleet. At the western approach, they met the 5th Fleet. Each time, the human forces were outnumbered, but fought with such skill and technological superiority that the Coalition suffered severe losses. Admiral Choi Min-ji commanded the 3rd Fleet at the northern approach. She watched the Coalition ships struggle to adapt to human tactics and felt no satisfaction, only professional focus. Captain Lee, status of the wounded enemy vessels? Our medical ships are standing by to assist, Admiral, but they're refusing our help. Pride, probably. Keep offering. We're not barbarians. The Coalition forces, despite heavy losses, managed to regroup. Fleet Master Zex was shaken, but not defeated. He sent urgent communications to the other Coalition groups. The humans have at least 5 fleets, possibly more. Each is smaller than our groups, but far more effective than anticipated. We need to consolidate our forces and advance together. The 3 Coalition groups withdrew to a rally point, combining their strength. They had lost nearly 500 ships in the initial engagements, but still had over 1,500 vessels. Surely, Zex thought, this would be enough. Ambassador Park Ji-woo appeared on their communication channels, his face calm as always. Fleet Master Zex, I am authorized to offer terms. Withdraw your forces now, and we will consider this matter closed. Continue your attack, and we will be forced to demonstrate capabilities we have so far kept in reserve. Zex felt anger rise within him. These humans, with their handful of fleets, dared to offer him terms? Ambassador, we have 1,500 warships at this position. You have shown us 5 small fleets. Even if each contains 200 ships, you are still outnumbered. Surrender now, or face destruction. Park Ji-woo nodded slowly. I made the offer. Remember that I made the offer. I Fang. The communication ended. Admiral Choi received new orders from Earth. Phase 3 authorized. Deploy the 6th, 7th, and 8th fleets. Throughout human space, 3 more fleets emerged from hidden positions. These were not defensive formations like the first 5. These were offensive battle groups, built for one purpose: to project power far from Earth and strike targets deep in enemy territory. The 6th Fleet appeared behind the Coalition formation. The 7th Fleet emerged from the asteroid field the Coalition had foolishly ignored. The 8th Fleet jumped in from a completely unexpected vector, having used experimental FTL drives to arrive faster than should have been possible. Fleet Master Zex watched his tactical display with growing horror. The number of human ships had just tripled, and these new fleets were even larger than the first ones, equipped with weapon systems that seemed designed specifically for fleet combat. This is impossible, he whispered. How did they build so many ships? How did they hide them? His tactical officer provided the answer nobody wanted to hear. Sir, our intelligence has been reviewing the human industrial capacity data. It was falsified. They didn't build this fleet in 5 years. They've been building it for decades. While they watched us, studied us, learned everything about us, they were preparing for this moment. The battle that followed was decisive. The human fleets did not seek to destroy the Coalition completely. Instead, they used precision strikes to cripple command ships, destroy weapons systems, and force surrenders. They demonstrated they could have annihilated the entire Coalition force but chose not to. Fleet Master Zex found himself aboard a crippled ship, his fleet scattered and broken. He received a communication request from Admiral Choi Min-ji. Fleet Master Zex, she said formally, we accept your surrender. Your wounded will be treated. Your survivors will be returned to your governments unharmed. We seek no territory, no tribute, no revenge. We seek only to be left in peace. How many? Zex asked quietly. How many fleets do you actually have? Admiral Choi smiled slightly. Enough, Fleet Master. More than enough. On the council station, Councillor Thrain received the news of the Coalition's defeat with numb shock. 8 human fleets had been observed in combat. 8 fleets when they had expected 2. What else were the humans hiding? Ambassador Park Ji-woo requested an emergency session of the council. This time, when he entered the chamber, no one looked at him with contempt. They looked at him with fear. The Galactic Council chamber was silent when Ambassador Park Ji-woo entered. Every representative present had seen the battle reports. Over 800 Coalition ships destroyed or crippled, thousands of casualties. The largest military force assembled in centuries, defeated in less than 2 days, and the humans had used 8 fleets to do it. Councillor Thrain spoke first, his voice lacking its usual authority. Park Ji-woo took his position calmly. A ceasefire, Councillor? That would imply both sides are still fighting. The Coalition fleet has surrendered. There is nothing to cease. The blunt statement hit the council like a physical blow. Fleet Master Zex had indeed surrendered. The proud military commander had sent formal capitulation documents to Earth. The galactic intelligence agencies were in chaos, trying to understand how they had miscalculated so badly. Intelligence Officer Shen, a member of the Hegemony's Elite Analysis Division, had been working without sleep for 36 hours. She had finally pieced together the truth, and it terrified her. They've been planning this for 40 years, she reported to her superiors. Before they even made first contact, humans had intercepted our communications. They studied every species, every war, every tactical doctrine. They knew exactly how we would respond to their appearance. But their industrial capacity, her superior protested. We surveyed their system. We counted their factories, their shipyards, their resource extraction operations. We counted what they let us see, Shen replied grimly. Analysis of debris from the destroyed human ships shows construction techniques that are decades old. They didn't build this fleet recently. They built it slowly, secretly, using hidden shipyards throughout their outer system. By the time we made contact, they already had the military strength to challenge any single galactic power. They just chose not to reveal it. The report reached the Council within hours. The implications were staggering. If humans had been preparing for this long, what else were they hiding? On Earth, President Nam Da-un faced a difficult decision. Fleet Admiral Kang Taeyang stood before her desk, along with Ambassador Yoon Seo-jun and several other advisors. The Council is frightened, Yoon reported. They're scrambling to find some way to contain us. Intelligence suggests several powers are considering a desperate attack, using everything they have left. President Nam rubbed her temples. How many ships could they assemble if they truly committed everything? Perhaps 3,000, Kang replied. But they would be scattered, poorly coordinated, and demoralized. We could defeat them, but the casualties on both sides would be enormous. We need to end this, Nam decided. Not with more violence, but with a demonstration they cannot ignore. Admiral, it's time to show them the home guard. Kang nodded slowly. The 9th, 10th, and 11th fleets. Once we reveal them, there's no going back. They'll know our full strength. Not our full strength, Nam corrected. They'll know what we're willing to show them. There's a difference. 3 days later, Ambassador Park Ji-woo addressed the Galactic Council formally. My government wishes to demonstrate our commitment to peace. To that end, we will reveal the military assets we maintain for home system defense. We hope this transparency will ease concerns about our intentions. Councillor Thrain felt a chill. More fleets? How many more could they possibly have? The answer came through live feeds transmitted from the Sol system. 3 massive fleets, each larger than the expeditionary forces that had defeated the coalition, patrolled Earth's immediate space. The 9th Fleet consisted of orbital defense platforms and aerospace superiority fighters. The 10th Fleet was composed of heavy battleships designed for close-range combat. The 11th Fleet included mobile fortress stations and planetary defense coordinators. The display was overwhelming. The humans had not revealed 8 fleets. They had revealed 11. And these last 3 were clearly designed for one purpose: to make attacking Earth itself impossible. Fleetmaster Zex, recovering from his wounds on his homeworld, watched the display and laughed bitterly. We never had a chance. Even if the coalition had succeeded in reaching Earth, we would have faced those monsters. We would all be dead. Intelligence Officer Shen completed her final analysis and presented it to the emergency joint session of the major powers. Based on observed human behavior patterns and industrial capacity, we can make several conclusions. First, the humans have been preparing for galactic contact for at least 40 years. Second, they deliberately appeared weak to observe how we would respond. Third, they have maintained strategic deception at every level. Fourth, and most importantly, we still do not know if we have seen their full military strength. 11 fleets isn't enough? Someone demanded. The humans are long-term planners, Shen explained. They built 11 fleets and hid them successfully for decades. If they can do that, what else might they have hidden? What weapons or technologies haven't they revealed? We know they have adaptive AI systems and experimental FTL drives. What else do they possess? 1C. The question hung in the air, unanswerable and terrifying. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Kang Taeyang met privately with his senior commanders. Admiral Choi Min-ji and several others gathered in the secure conference room. The council is paralyzed, Kang informed them. They don't know whether to negotiate or prepare for another attack. We need to give them a reason to choose negotiation. We could offer technology sharing, suggested Admiral Choi. Show them that alliance with Earth brings benefits, not just threats. We'll do exactly that, Kang agreed. But first, we need to establish one final truth. Captain Lee Sung-ho. Your mission analysis from the recent engagement? Captain Lee activated his presentation. The coalition forces fought bravely, but inefficiently. Their ships are well built, but use outdated tactical coordination. Their weapons are powerful, but lack adaptive targeting. With human technology and training, their effectiveness could increase by 40%, which means, Kang concluded, we can offer them something they desperately want. We can make them stronger. And in doing so, we ensure they have no reason to fear us, and every reason to ally with us. Ambassador Park Ji-woo returned to the council with a proposal. Earth offers the following terms. First, a mutual non-aggression pact between humanity and all council members. Second, technology sharing agreements for defensive systems only. Third, joint training programs for fleet coordination and combat efficiency. Fourth, Earth will guarantee the defense of any council member against external aggression. Councillor Thrain studied the proposal carefully. And what does Earth want in return? Recognition as a sovereign power with full council voting rights. Park replied simply. And the freedom to continue our own development, without interference. You want us to make you equals, Thrain said slowly. After you demonstrated you could destroy us. We want you to make us partners, Park corrected. We never sought to destroy anyone. We sought only to ensure that no one could destroy us. There is a difference, Counselor. We hope you can see that. The council debated for days. Some argued for rejecting the proposal, for continuing to seek ways to limit human power. Others argued that alliance was the only logical choice. Finally, Councillor Thrain called for a vote. The measure passed by a narrow margin. Earth would be granted full council membership and recognized as a major power. As the vote was announced, Ambassador Yoon Seo-jun watched from the observation gallery. He sent a brief message to President Nam. It's done. They've accepted. President Nam replied. Good. Now we can begin the real work of building lasting peace. And perhaps, eventually, they'll understand why we did things this way. In the Sol system, Admiral Choi stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the tactical display showing all 11 fleets. A young officer approached her nervously. Admiral, permission to speak freely? Granted. We revealed 11 fleets. That seems like all of our strength. But the way Admiral Kang spoke during the briefing, he made it sound like we might have more in reserve. Do we? Admiral Choi smiled slightly. Officer, the most important rule of strategy is this. Never reveal everything you have. Let the enemy think they know your strength, while you keep your true capabilities hidden until they're needed. So, we do have more ships? I didn't say that, Choi replied. And neither should you. Let the galaxy wonder. Let them think about what else we might have hidden. That uncertainty will prevent more wars than any weapon we could build. The officer nodded slowly, understanding dawning. It didn't matter if there were more fleets or not. What mattered was that the galaxy would always wonder. And in that wondering, they would find reasons to choose diplomacy over war. Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-yang watched the reports from Earth Command and allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. 11 fleets revealed. The galaxy in shock. And still, they had not shown everything. The shipyards in the Kuiper Belt continued their work. The experimental weapons programs continued development. Humanity was preparing not just for the galaxy they knew, but for the threats they might someday face. Because that was what humanity did. They prepared, they planned, they endured. The formal signing ceremony took place on the council station 6 weeks after the failed coalition attack. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered in the Great Hall. a massive chamber designed to accommodate the galaxy's incredible diversity of life. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood at the human delegation table, wearing the same simple gray suit he always wore. Beside him stood Ambassador Yoon So-jun and a small group of human diplomats. No military personnel were present. Earth wanted to send a message. The war was over, and diplomacy would guide their future. Counselor Thrain called the session to order. His feathers had more gray now, and his eyes showed the weight of recent events. We gather today to formally recognize Earth as a sovereign member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities that membership entails. The document was presented. Park Ji-woo signed first, his signature steady and clear. Then, one by one, the other species representatives added their own marks. Some signed willingly, seeing opportunity in alliance with the powerful humans. Others signed reluctantly, still afraid of what humanity represented. When the ceremony concluded, several ambassadors approached Park Ji-woo privately. They wanted to discuss technology sharing agreements, training programs, and mutual defense pacts. The humans had proven themselves in battle. Now, they would prove themselves in peace. On Earth, President Nam Da-eun watched the ceremony through a live feed. Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-young sat beside her. It went smoothly, Nam observed. Better than I expected. They're afraid of us, Kang replied. Fear can be useful, but it's not a foundation for lasting peace. We need to show them who we really are. And who are we, Admiral? Kang thought carefully before answering. We're a species that survived everything our own world could throw at us. Ice ages, plagues, wars that nearly destroyed civilization. We learned hard lessons about the cost of conflict. We learned that strength must be tempered with wisdom, and power must be balanced with restraint. That's what we need to show them. Over the following months, Earth began fulfilling its promises. Human military advisors traveled to council member worlds, teaching tactical coordination and fleet management. Human engineers shared designs for improved point defense systems and damage control procedures. Human diplomats worked tirelessly to resolve disputes between species before they escalated into violence. The results were remarkable. Council member fleets that adopted human training methods showed immediate improvements. Species that had been rivals for centuries found common ground through human mediation. The galaxy was changing, and Earth was at the center of that change. But not everyone was happy with the new order. On the Vraxian homeworld, Admiral Kesh met with other military commanders in secret. The humans have made us weak, he hissed. They defeated us, humiliated us, and now they offer to teach us? To make us dependent on their technology and methods? What choice do we have? Another commander asked. They have 11 fleets, and we barely have one left after the losses we suffered. Do they? Kesh challenged. Has anyone actually verified that all 11 fleets exist? Or have we simply accepted their display as truth? The question sparked debate. Perhaps Kesh was right. Perhaps the humans had exaggerated their strength, using fear and deception to gain power without truly earning it. Intelligence Officer Shen heard about these discussions through her network of informants. She immediately reported to her superiors in the hegemony. The Vraxians are planning something. They're questioning whether the humans' military strength is real. Send this information to the human embassy, her superior ordered. Quietly. If the Vraxians attempt another attack, it would destabilize everything we've worked to build. Ambassador Yoon received the warning and contacted Earth immediately. President Nam called an emergency meeting with Admiral Kang. The Vraxians are considering another attack, she informed him. They think we might have exaggerated our fleet strength. Kang smiled grimly. Then perhaps it's time to invite them to visit our shipyards. Let them see with their own eyes what we've built, and what we continue to build. 2 weeks later, a delegation of Vraxian observers arrived in the Sol system under strict diplomatic protocols. They were escorted by human ships to various orbital facilities. What they saw shocked them into silence. The human shipyards were massive beyond belief. Not just the ones in orbit around Earth and Mars, but the ones hidden throughout the outer system. Facilities built into asteroids, constructed in the rings of Saturn, buried beneath the ice of distant moons, all of them producing warships, support vessels, and technologies the Vraxians couldn't even identify. This is just your primary construction capability? One Vraxian officer asked weakly. This is what we've built so far, Admiral Choi replied, giving them a tour of the facilities. We continue to expand. Humanity learned long ago that peace is preserved by the ability to wage war. But wisdom is choosing not to. The Vraxian delegation returned home and reported what they had seen. Admiral Kesh listened to their description of the human industrial base and felt his ambitions crumble. The humans hadn't exaggerated their strength. If anything, they had understated it. The 11 fleets were just what they were willing to show. What else they had hidden, nobody knew. 6 months after the signing ceremony, the first major test of the new order came. A species called the Ravagers, from beyond the galactic rim, launched raids on several council member worlds. They were a nomadic warrior culture that had never been defeated in open combat. The council convened in emergency session. Several species demanded action, but their own fleets were scattered and under strength after recent conflicts. They looked to Earth. President Nam consulted with her military advisors and the council representatives. If we respond to this threat, we set a precedent. Earth becomes the galaxy's protector. Are we ready for that responsibility? Admiral Kang considered carefully. We built our military to protect Earth, but we joined the council to be part of something larger. If we only defend ourselves, what message does that send? That we're selfish. Ambassador Park said from his position on the council station. That we only care about our own survival. We need to show them we meant what we said about partnership. President Nam made her decision. Deploy the 4th and 7th fleets. Defensive operations only. Protect the threatened worlds. But don't pursue the Ravagers into deep space. Show strength, but not aggression. The human fleets moved swiftly, arriving at the threatened systems before the Ravagers could complete their raids. The battles were short and decisive. The Ravagers had never faced opponents with human tactical coordination and technology. They withdrew quickly, abandoning their usual strategy of overwhelming victims through persistence. Council member species watched in amazement as human ships not only defended their worlds, but provided medical assistance and reconstruction support afterward. This wasn't conquest. This was genuine protection. Counselor Thrain sent a private message to Ambassador Park. I misjudged your species, Ambassador. I thought you sought domination. I see now that I was wrong. Park replied simply, We seek what every species seeks, Counselor. Security, prosperity, and the chance to explore the universe without fear. The difference is that we learned we can only achieve these things by helping others achieve them as well. 1 year after Earth joined the Council, significant changes had transformed galactic politics. 15 species had signed mutual defense pacts with humanity. Trade between Earth and Council worlds had increased dramatically. Joint research programs were developing new technologies that benefited everyone. And most importantly, major conflicts between Council members had decreased by nearly 70%. The human presence had brought stability. In the Sol system, Fleet Admiral Kang Tae-yang prepared to retire. He had served for 40 years, building Earth's military from scattered corporate forces into the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Now, at 73 years old, it was time to step aside. Admiral Choi Min-ji would succeed him as Supreme Commander. She stood with him on the observation deck of the orbital command station, looking out at the assembled fleets. 11 fleets, Choi said quietly. That's what the galaxy knows about, and that's all they need to know, Kang replied. Let them think they understand our strength. Let them believe they've seen everything we have. Have they? Choi asked, a slight smile on her face. Kang turned to her, his old eyes twinkling. Admiral, that's a question I won't answer. Even to you. Some secrets need to be kept. Some mysteries need to remain unsolved. The galaxy is safer when they wonder about what we might have hidden, rather than knowing for certain. He paused, looking at the distant stars. Besides, we continue to build. The shipyards don't stop just because we've achieved peace. We build for the future. For the threats we can't yet imagine. That's what humanity does. We prepare. On the council station, Ambassador Park Ji-woo walked through the corridors that had once viewed him with contempt. Now, representatives from dozens of species greeted him with respect, some with genuine friendship. The transformation was remarkable. A young human diplomat approached him. Ambassador, I have a question. It's probably inappropriate, but I need to ask. Go ahead. Park encouraged. When we first made contact with the council, we could have revealed our full strength immediately. We could have avoided the wars, the casualties, all the conflict. Why didn't we? Park considered the question thoughtfully. Because if we had appeared suddenly with overwhelming military power and demanded respect, we would have been feared but never trusted. By allowing them to attack us first, by defending ourselves proportionally, by showing restraint even in victory, we demonstrated who we are. Not conquerors, but protectors. Not tyrants, but partners. The price was high, yes, but it bought us something more valuable than fear. It bought us legitimacy. The young diplomat nodded slowly, understanding. Park looked out at the stars visible through the station's viewing ports. The galaxy is vast, and we're still newcomers here. There are mysteries we haven't explored, threats we haven't encountered, species we haven't met. We needed the Council to see us not as invaders or threats, but as allies. That took time. It took sacrifice. But it was worth it. In the hidden shipyards of the outer Sol system, work continued on projects the galaxy would not see for years. New technologies were tested. New ship designs were developed. New strategies were refined. Because Fleet Admiral Kang was right. Humanity prepared. They always had. They always would. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, watching the growing human presence with calculating intelligence, other species observed and made their own plans. Species that had not yet revealed themselves to the galaxy. Species that might someday pose threats that would require everything humanity had built. But that was a challenge for the future. For now, Earth had achieved what it set out to accomplish. They had secured their place in the galactic community. They had proven their worth, not just through force of arms, but through wisdom, restraint, and genuine partnership. Admiral Choi stood on her flagship's bridge, watching the tactical displays that showed all of Earth's known fleets in their various positions throughout the galaxy. 11 fleets, protecting humanity and their allies. And in the restricted files she now had access to as Supreme Commander, she found references to other projects, other capabilities, other preparations that even she hadn't known about until now. She smiled slightly and closed the files without reviewing them in detail. Some mysteries, as Admiral Kang had said, needed to remain mysteries. The galaxy thought it knew Earth's strength. Let them continue thinking that. It was safer that way. For everyone,